Man, am I tired. Tired? We only worked for an hour after you got off your break. Again. Yeah, and I'm really tired. Fine, but the next time you're off break, you're not getting another break until the job is done. Yeah, I know. Maybe I should work on something. I know FemWolf has her thing, and she's probably doing well on it. Oh my god, I have no idea what I'm doing. I should buy her some time with making a little review of my own. To do this, let's take a look at an episode of a show that I really like. We're going to Gotham City for a little bit as I review an episode of Batman the Animated Series known as Baby Doll. You might be asking yourself, why this show, or why this episode? And I'm glad you asked, hypothetical viewer. Little secret about us wolves and cat is that we have a little joke about each of us having a Batman series, so to speak. Not just that we like, but we will associate with ourselves. For me, this animated series was mine, while Kat had the Batman from the mid-2000s. So this is some personal territory in a way. Secondly, I chose this episode mostly because of the ending. It's just really good and something that cannot be told by word of mouth. You have to see it for yourself. Enough padding though, let's go! After the weirder opening of the series, we open up outside the showing of Death of a Salesman, a classic. One of the men leaving hears a little girl crying and decides to check up on her, but she reveals that she actually knows him and has him knocked out. Kidnapped by a little girl? That's gotta be someone's kink somewhere. The scene changes to a news segment talking about a past show about the little girl we just saw commit a crime. Turns out she used to be a star. As Batman, Robin, and Commissioner Gordon are watching it, Batman is informed that 3 of the old cast have been kidnapped recently. This helps set up information about not just the plot, but the woman from earlier, Mary Doll. Oh, her last name is pronounced like doll, 'cause she's almost doll-like. Funny. However, this is one of the parts of this rather tragic episode. Turns out, Mary Doll has something called systemic hypoplasia, which, according to Medical Dictionary, the free dictionary, is an incomplete or underdevelopment of the body due to a deficiency in the number of cells. Don't worry, Batman simplifies it too.
A rare condition that kept her from aging.
Which is only half true. No, duh, it doesn't stop her from aging mentally or something, but what he means is that her body never grew up. It never really hit a normal, mature state. For women, this would be the growth of their breasts, ovaries starting to produce eggs and going through periods, all that fun stuff. Batman believes someone has a vendetta against the actors, but this gets interrupted by an attempted kidnapping of Tammy Vance, one of the other stars from Mary Doll's show. Batman and Robin show up, take care of the 2 goons, but ultimately fail to stop the kidnapping as a mysterious little girl gets in the way of the Batmobile. As she gets taken by her supposed mother, she just so happens to say a certain catchphrase that catches the attention of Robin, so she drops a smoke bomb and escapes. The focus shifts once more and goes to Tammy Vance, who is dressed up like her old character, and she finds the other actors dressed up and on the old show set. Mary steps out and, yep, she seems pretty crazy and trying to relive the old days. Batman, meanwhile, goes to interrogate a woman who works at some agency or maybe a celebrity reporter about why Baby Doll would have a vengeance. The woman says that the grudge should actually be held by the kidnapped stars because when Mary left the show, she tried to do more serious things and ultimately got the show cancelled, putting them out of work. We do get to see her more dramatic acting, like her on Macbeth, but she sucked and that career never took off. She tried reviving the show, but the network said no. Robin decides that maybe watching the old show can lead to some clues, but we go back to stage 5 to see what Mary Doll is up to. Okay, seriously, stop changing focus this quickly. It's hard to keep writing Batman does this, then we see Baby Doll, then we go elsewhere, but back to Batman, but back to Baby Doll. It's frustrating to keep track of and make it sound interesting. Mary forced them here and is almost torturing them, not actual torture, but it might as well be, because it's her birthday. Oh wow, well that changes everything! Todd, the dad from the old show, tries to leave but is muscled into staying by Mary's assistant. Todd stays defiant because this is the woman who ruined their careers for more attention. It looks like she's going to cry, but instead she shifts from her cutesy voice to a more mature womanly voice about her hardships that she did train and audition but was turned down. The old show that she killed was the last thing to keep her happy. As Mary hugs them, it's shown that it seems to be a thing that happens at the end of each episode, most likely, since Robin is currently watching a similar scene but from the show instead. Good transition, honestly. Robin hates watching it, saying it's worse than almost dying to poison ivy, but does notice one cast member is missing. A mischievous cousin that messes with Baby, who is introduced to try and stop the drop in ratings. Classic move by showrunners. Your show is going down in ratings, let's spice it up with a new character. It also turns out that an episode about her birthday was the reason she was mad and left, because she got upstaged by said new character, Spunky. She has yet to get revenge, but it might be happening soon, as Mary currently is kidnapping the cast, and it is her birthday. Seems like the stars might be aligning, as we see some loser guy playing in his garage on an electric guitar, but Mary's assistant is pushing a carriage across his sidewalk, so we know he's about to be kidnapped. Because he gets kidnapped very easily. Mary also punches him to help wake him up, and that actually got a laugh out of me. To get some actual revenge on her being upstage, she lights a stick of dynamite on her cake in front of Spunky, who tries to blow it out, which fails, so he throws it behind him and narrowly escapes death. Oh yeah, apparently that doll of hers also has a gun inside its head, which she uses to try to threaten Spunky, until Batman shows up finally, and Robin reveals that he was disguised as Spunky this whole time. The assistant beats up Robin and Batman for a little until Batman turns the table and knocks her out by throwing her through a stage wall. Batman chases after Mary and her tricycle to an amusement park, and everyone knows where this is going to. We all know where the final battle is because this trope is done so many times. There is a cool moment here when Batman shows up on top of a popcorn stand, and a bunch of people go to crowd around him, little children included, which causes Mary to lose the crowd and her cover. We finally get to the final stage, the Hall of Mirrors. I never understand how these things work in fiction, but they're so damn cool. All the mirrors distort herself, but there's one mirror that shows herself as a grown-up and normal woman. She drops her character voice again because she knows it's just a mirror, a fantasy, that ideal self is made up. She, of course, loses it like everyone does in the Hall of Mirrors, and starts shooting every mirror that now has Batman in it, and even shoots the one that showed her true self. After shooting it, she runs out of bullets, but keeps clicking the gun until Batman takes it away and she just cries. And that's where it ends. Fuck, rewatching this, I almost started to cry. And this is why I love this episode. Like a lot of Batman's villains, it's a well-woven tragedy. However, unlike them, her grand plan isn't to do something to harm Gotham or someone close to Batman, but it's so personal to her and only her. So, let's rewind a bit. Why do I love Baby Doll so much? Well, it's because of Baby Doll, or Mary Doll. When she was a younger star, she became famous off a single role that everyone would remember her for. When she tried to break away from that role, she failed. Nobody liked her shift to try and be serious, and she destroyed her and her co-star's career out of a selfish wish. To try and fix her unhappiness, she decided to make yet another selfish wish and relive her happy days, even if at the expense of her former co-stars who all hate her. When it gets threatened, she lashes out until she breaks down. The story itself is sad enough, but there's an extra layer of sadness throughout the entire episode when you look at how she acts. For the most part, she's in character as a kind of bratty child that seeks attention. The 2 times we see her go after the cast, she is playing little girl, one crying in the opening and another as a baby in a carriage just walking by. When she runs from Batman, she rides a tricycle and tries to hide in an amusement park. The identity of Baby is so ingrained in her that she can't escape from it no matter how much she tries, as demonstrated when her dramatic acting career fails and she reverts to her old life. Plus, that ending is just so sad. The way she sees herself is not real. The life she wanted isn't real. She just wanted to escape and have a happy life, but she can't. I'm probably close to talking in circles about how sad but great this episode is, so maybe I should move to some of the problems I had with it. The jumping around so much I don't like. I understand why they do it, but I just wish it wasn't so often. Each scene on its own is kind of interesting, but being jerked away from it sucks because we spent some time getting invested in what's going on, and then it ends. There also isn't much action to this episode, and the fight with the assistant was interesting, but I didn't enjoy it as much when compared to other episodes in the series. I am also pretty tired with the traumatic Hall of Mirrors trope. even if this one is a bit different because instead of seeing her current self and how different it is from her old self, this one is seeing an idealized self that will never be. As much as I love Baby Doll the episode and enjoy Mary Doll the character, I do not want to see her be used again. She definitely works better as a one-off character because of how personal her story is, and I don't see how it could be expanded into her being one of Batman's Rogues Gallery members. I can watch this episode a million more times in life, but I would never want to see her come up with crazy schemes about how to kill the Batman or do petty crimes, since none of those plot threads could fit her. To end this, I rate this episode an 8 out of 10. As much as I love it, I have to acknowledge the faults I find with it. I do recommend watching the episode for yourself. I'm Human Wolf, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.